Okay guys, here we go. Do you have anxiety? Do you have addiction? Do you spend more time in your head than you do in the present? Do you have back pain? Do you work at a desk? Do you spend a lot of time with your head down, looking at your phone or tablet? Do you feel different after COVID, like you haven't been able to feel normal again? Then you need to watch this video. This is not medical advice, this is just research done by me. Now, why you should listen to me? I don't know. I'm not sure. If you've struggled with any of these things, anxiety, depression, back pain, TMJ, temporomandibular joint dysfunction, your jaw hurts, your face hurts, your neck hurts, do you spend a lot of time gaming? Do you have an addiction? Have you struggled? Have you experienced trauma? Do you respond poorly to stressful situations? Do you have relationship problems? Do you have trouble at finding happiness in jobs? Do you struggle sometimes and you just don't know why? What about any of this stuff? Do you have struggle with appetite? Have you noticed a big change in your appetite? Have you noticed digestive problems? Do you have trouble? Are you constipated? Do you wake up? Are you having trouble with digestion of your food? Do you feel like you don't have enough energy? When you exercise, do you feel like your heart starts racing and you can't handle it? How do you handle any kind of stress? When something stressful happens, are you able to just let it go, or do you literally let it become you? Do you take it home? Do you take your work home and sit in it? I forgot the most important thing. Do you have poor posture from sitting at a desk all day, or sitting in your computer, or sitting in your office, or sitting at work and then sitting at home? What about during COVID, when you sat at your desk all the time and then you sat on your phone because you couldn't go outside? Was that you? Because that was me. Now, I want to get straight to it. I don't want to waste anybody's time. The three things I'm going to discuss are the vagus nerve, what it is and why it is important to your body. I want to talk about how stress and trauma, from what my understanding, can be trapped inside your body. And finally, I want to talk about what I believe is a possible solution or root cause of why we are unable to return to normal. Okay, so to keep it short and quick, the vagus nerve is basically involved in all bodily functions. It's one of the largest nerves. It is the 10th cranial nerve. It runs from the top of your neck and it runs down all the way through your spine, so most of your body. If you look at this diagram here, you can see that it is involved with basically the function of most of your organs. Now, why is that important? I'm going to include a link to this video here from Doc Snipes. It's great information. It's called How Trauma Gets Trapped in Your Body, and I'm going to let her explain to you why the vagus nerve is important in regards to trauma.
So ultimately, what's important to know about the vagus nerve is that it runs throughout your body, taking in sensory information and sending it to the brain to find out what to do. How does this relate to trauma? Well, when you experience trauma, the brain learns from that and creates what we've called in other videos schema, or shortcuts about when this situation occurs, it's a threat. Therefore, when the body receives information, when the sensory organs pick up information or triggers for that trauma, the vagus nerve sends that information up to the brain, and the brain says, uh-oh, I know what this means. In the past, when we've encountered this smell or this sight or this place, it's meant really bad mojo. So I'm going to trigger the stress response.
Okay, again, so when moving along, we've already covered what the vagus nerve is, and we've covered how it is involved in the stress and anxiety part of your body and trauma. So if we're considering that your body responds to the trauma, there are so many things that can result from an improper functioning vagus nerve system. Okay, so let's bring it home. How many of you are watching this sitting in a chair? How many of you are watching this with your neck bent, looking down at your phone? How many of you would describe yourself as dealing with anxiety?
Instability, that cervical instability then causes extra motion of the vertebrae, and even the spinal cord itself, inside the spinal canal, there's only like 2 or 3 millimeters of extra space. So if you have instability of the neck, that instability of the neck can cause the extra motion of the bones, and that can actually not just pinch on nerves, but also pinch on the spinal cord. And the long-term detrimental effects of that for people with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome can be POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. It can be mast cell activation syndrome. And I think a lot of this relates to compression of the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve runs right along the anterior part of C1, C2, C3, C4. So how we approach this is we do a digital motion x-ray. The digital motion x-ray will show the extra movement of C1, C2, or wherever it is. And all it takes is a few extra millimeters of motion of C1 or C2, and that will cause compression of the vagus nerve. The compression of the vagus nerve, in my opinion, can cause things like POTS, mast cell activation syndrome, anxiety, leaky gut. And you might say, well, how could that be? Well, the vagus nerve is the repair nerve, if you will, of the body. So any sort of injury of the body, the repair of that tissue, including the digestive tract, has to go through the vagus nerve.
Okay, and so to summarize what I'm getting at here, I've created a very intricate diagram to explain how I think we can rewire our body to handle stress appropriately by restructuring your spine to reduce and hopefully repair any kind of damage to the vagus nerve that is causing your body to think that it is returning to normal when in fact it doesn't know what normal feels like until you release that pressure.
Let me talk to you. Bitch, get your spine right. Let me